If you are new to our channel, subscribe, like, and don't forget to share. Kepler's law of planetary motion, that is, every planet in our solar system that revolves in elliptical path with position of sun at one of the foci, right? And if we go diagram, let me explain you with this so it will be more clearer. Let's say this is an elliptical path. These are S1, S2 foci, position of sun. Let's say this is Earth, a planet. So a planet that revolves an elliptical path with position of sun at one of the foci, S1 or S2. That was the first law of planetary motion. Now second law of planetary motion that we have studied, again with the help of a diagram I will tell you this thing. Let's say at T1 the planet position is somewhere here at position P1. At time T2 position of planet is P2. Now at T3 and T4 positions are P3 and P4. So area swept by the line joining the center of sun and planet in equal interval of time, that is equal. So if I say area of this part between the time interval T2 minus T1, that will be equal to the area swept by the line between the time interval T4 minus T3. And it is possible when T4 minus T3 equals to T2 minus T1. Again in the simple words, area swept by the line joining the center of sun and planet in equal interval of times, that is equal. And mathematically we can write dA upon dt, rate of change of area, that is L upon 2m. I hope it is clear to everyone. Second law.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now Kepler's third law of planetary motion. Okay. Now what is this Kepler's third law of planetary motion? What we have studied, that square of the time period of any planet, that is directly proportional to cube of semi-major axis. Okay. In elliptical path, we know this is semi-major axis A and time period of a planet is T. So square of the time period is directly proportional to cube of semi-major axis. This is third law of planetary motion. Now next is universal law of gravitation. According to universal law of gravitation, any two objects which are present in this universe, they possess mass, then they will attract each other. And the force of attraction between them, that is known as gravitational force. This gravitational force is always attractive in nature. And the formula for this gravitational force, we write with the basic concept F equals to minus G m1 m2 upon r square. Here negative sign that shows it is attractive force. Okay, nature of force is attractive, right? G is known as universal gravitational constant and the value is 6.67 into 10 raised to 11 Newton meter square per kg square. Remember that this is universal gravitational constant. Universal means now its value will be same throughout the universe. Okay. So these were the this was the Newton's law of gravitation, and it follows the Newton's third law. Every action has a reaction same in magnitude. opposite in direction, and action reaction take place on two different objects simultaneously. Now it's very important for the numericals to find the direction of force. Let's say if I want the direction of F12, that is force on first object due to second object. So first object will be attracted by the second object. So direction of F12 will be from M1 to M2. M1 will be attracted by M2 towards its side. Same way, if we need the force on M2 due to M1, so M2 will be attracted by M1 towards its side. So direction of force will be from M2 to M1. I hope direction is clear to everyone. How to take direction?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now, next thing we talk about the wait a minute. Yes, this point is very, very important. Remember that. Sometimes some of the numericals are like that, where we do not write F equals to minus G mm upon R square. Okay. Instead of writing 2, they can give you any other number. So for that we have written here R raised to N. So whenever force of attraction, gravitational force of attraction varies as 1 upon R raised to N, then time period of revolution, that is R raised to N plus 1 by 2. Remember that this result is very, very important. Whenever the force is not following this F proportional to 1 by R square, it is following another law, F proportional to 1 upon R raised to N. Then time period of the planet is proportional to R raised to N plus 1 by 2. I hope it is clear to everyone.
So can you give an example where
Sir,
it
can you
follows
give
this
an
law?
example?
Yes, see, actually it is specifically for the numericals. Let's say the force F is proportional to R raised to minus 7 by 2. Okay. Now we need the time period. So over here, if we go through the process, the force will be written as minus G mm upon R raised to 7 by 2. Okay. Now we know this will be equal to centripetal force in magnitude. So we will write mv square by R. So from over here we can write V square equals to G mm upon R raised to, now this R1 I will shift to the right side, sorry left side, so it will become 7 by 2 minus 1, which is giving us G mm upon R raised to 5 by 2. Okay, so this is V square. Now how to find the time period? Time period is 2 pi R upon V, square of the time period. 4 pi square R square upon V square. Now substituting the value of V square, which is Gm upon R raised to 5 by 2. So it will come in numerator 5 by 2. Okay, then it will be 4 pi square. R raised to, now it will become 4 plus 5, 9, 9 by 2 upon Gm. Now you can see T square here is proportional to R raised to 9 by 2. I hope it is clear now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Remember that whenever these types of questions are there, either you can use this formula directly or you can use this complete procedure, because we are having the follow this formula. Okay, it will be very easy. Let's say f here is given like this. R is n is 7 by 2. Okay, now see, if I put the value of r as here, n as 7 by 2, so t square proportional to r raised to 7 by 2 plus 1. Okay, so it will become 9 by 2. See, we are getting the same result.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so this is very very important, and I have recorded this video also, so if you want to revise it again you can do. Now next thing, the gravitational acceleration. Remember that the gravitational acceleration, we have defined it like this: gravitational force of attraction experienced by a unit mass, Fg upon m. The force of attraction between two objects is minus gmm by r square. Mm cancel. So gravitational acceleration is given by minus gm upon r square. Remember that this minus sign only shows that force is attractive in nature. While you are solving the numericals, if you will not use this sign, it's okay. Okay. So formula can be written as gm upon r square. In terms of density, the gravitational acceleration that is given by 4 upon 3 pi g r rho. Here we consider two things. First, density of earth is uniform. Okay, only for the calculation purpose we did it. Density of earth is uniform. Second thing we have considered, earth is spherical in shape. Again, this is an assumption. Okay, so these two things we have considered only to solve the questions easily, right? I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
now next thing, variation of gravitational acceleration with height. See, there are two cases. First one, uh, this is the first case, gravitational acceleration at height h. You will use this formula when the r is very very large. Sorry, h is very very large. Like suppose r is given, h is given to you in kilometers. Okay, kilometer more than 10 kilometer. Then you will use this formula: gh equals to g r square upon r plus h whole square. But if we have h very very less than r, okay, so in that case the formula is going to be g1 minus 2h upon r. Okay, I have already given you the examples of these two things. Okay, we did some numericals also. Again in the worksheet you will find these types of questions.
Yes.
Now next one is gravitational acceleration, change of the gravitational acceleration with the altitude or the height, but here we are calculating the fraction form. Okay, so delta g by g, simply change in the gravitational acceleration with respect to initial value, will be 2h upon r, and we can find it very easily. See, gh was g 1 minus 2h upon r. Okay, so it can be simply written as gh upon g as 1 minus 2h upon r. So again 2h by r will be equal to gh by g, 1 minus gh by g. So that is g minus gh upon g, which is nothing but delta g by g. This is equal to 2h upon r. Okay. No
Yes.
need to do the derivation, but here it was written directly, so that's why I did it. Okay. I hope this is also clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now next thing, variation of G with depth. Okay. Now variation of G with depth is written by GD equals to G 1 minus D upon R. So it simply shows if we move inside the earth from the surface to inside the earth. Okay. Let's say on the surface it is G, and when we are moving inside at certain depth D, the gravitational acceleration is GD over there. So this gravitational acceleration will be always less than the gravitational acceleration on the surface of Earth or the planet. And exactly at the center, the gravitational acceleration will be zero. Okay. These are the two important points for the numericals. Now we are going to plot the graph between the gravitational acceleration and the distance. So see here, initially if we take the distance from center of earth to surface, the gravitational acceleration will increase. It means from center to surface of earth it we move, the gravitational acceleration increases, G proportional to R. While after this surface means now if beyond the R we go, R greater than capital R. So gravitational acceleration is going to decrease as the distance will increase. So this will be the graph between G and R. I hope it is clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one is fractional loss in the gravitational acceleration with depth. Again, we can simply write delta G upon G equals to D by R. Okay, the same way we can derive by using the same equation here, GD equals to G 1 minus D by R. You can write it like this, GD by G, which is 1 minus D upon R, or D by R equals to 1 minus GD upon G. So it is G minus GD divided by G, which is nothing but D by R. Now the next one is related to effect of rotation. Okay, so suppose there is an object of mass m which is at phi latitude. Okay, this is at phi latitude and earth is rotating from west to east with angular velocity omega. So on the surface the object which is present will experience gravitational acceleration g phi as g minus omega square r cos square phi. Remember that two cases are there. First one for the poles. If we talk about the poles, the value of phi is 90 degree and cos 90 degree is 0. So at the poles, if I want the acceleration due to gravity, it is same g, because cos 90 is 0, so this portion will be 0. The second case at equator. For the equator, simply we write phi equals to 0 degree and cos 0 degree we know is 1. So at equator the value will be g minus omega square r. So that is the gravitational acceleration. Now from these two expressions we can simply observe gravitational acceleration at the poles that is more than gravitational acceleration at equator. Okay, and the basic reason is the difference of the radius at pole and equator. At the poles, let's say radius is RP, and at equator radius is RE. Remember that radius at pole is less than radius at equator, and this difference RE minus RP, that is almost 21 kilometer. Okay, so because of this much difference of the radius, gravitational acceleration at the pole is more as compared to gravitational acceleration at equator. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, the next thing is related to gravitational potential. Remember that the gravitational potential, we have defined it like that, the same way we do electric potential. So gravitational potential at any point, that is defined as amount of work done to bring a unit mass from infinity to a given point t against the gravitational field. Again, I am repeating, gravitational potential is defined as amount of work done to bring a unit mass from infinity to a given point against the gravitational field. It is a scalar quantity with unit joule per kg. Is it clear? Gravitational potential.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, next one is gravitational potential energy. Okay. Now, what is gravitational potential energy? The way we define the gravitational potential, same way we define gravitational potential energy. The gravitational potential energy we defined as amount of work done to bring a mass from infinity to a given point against the gravitational field. Remember that the difference between the two definitions of potential and potential energy is, in gravitational potential we write amount of work done to bring a unit mass, while in case of gravitational potential energy we say it is the amount of work done to bring a mass, not a unit mass. Okay, so that is gravitational potential energy. And in simple language you can say the amount of work done to assemble the system of particles, that is gravitational potential energy. Let's take an example. Two objects are there having masses m1 and m2. The distance between them is r. So if I want to write the expression of gravitational potential energy, it will be minus g m1 m2 upon r. Okay, that is gravitational potential energy for two particle system. This gmm by r we can also write as mgr, because gravitational acceleration is minus gmm by r square. So 1r if we keep with small g, so this minus gmm by r can be written as small minus small mgr. I hope it is clear. Gravitational potential energy.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the next thing is, whenever an object is taken at certain height from the surface of earth, let's say an object is on the surface of earth somewhere here at one point. When it is lifted at certain height h, let's say this is point 2. So its potential energy will change, and change in potential energy we write mgh upon 1 plus h by r. Okay. Again remember that if h is very less than r, simply you will write change in potential energy as mgh. But when h is very greater than r, we write mgh upon 1 plus h by r. These are the two situations for change in potential energy. Now next thing, orbital velocity. See the minimum velocity required by an satellite to revolve in an orbit of a planet, that is its orbital velocity. And the expression of orbital velocity we have written under root of gm upon r plus h. Again, here if we talk about the planets which are talk about the satellites which are very closer to the surface of Earth. In that case, use again under root gm upon r. Okay, but with condition h very less than r. If height is sufficient enough, then we will use the above formula under root gm upon r plus h. If height is very less, we use under root gm by r. I hope these 2 points are clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see this velocity, orbital velocity, you must remember for MCQs. For Earth especially, a satellite will have velocity 7.92 kilometer per second. Okay. Same way escape speed is 11.2 kilometer per second. Okay. So these two values you must remember for the numerical purpose. Now next thing we talk about the time period of a satellite. Okay. See, generally the formula for the time period we write t square equals to 4 pi square upon gm and r cube. So that r is r plus h cube. Now further, whenever we are calculating the time period for the satellite which is closer to Earth, h very less than r, we use the t equals to 2 pi under root r upon g. Okay, and this is approximately 84.6 minute. Okay, so that is the way to calculate time period of a satellite which are closer to the surface of Earth. And if it is not closer, then you will use this formula. Remember that when you are supposed to calculate the height, it will be a very tough job. You have to take the cube root, and if in basic maths you don't know how to take the cube root, it will be very difficult for you to find the value. So practice out before the exam how to take the cube root of a big number, right? Now next topic we come on the escape velocity. Now what is escape velocity? The minimum velocity with which an object which is thrown from the surface of a planet, it will never return to the same surface again. It means it will be free from the gravitational field of the planet. That is escape velocity. The escape velocity formula we can write again in two ways. First one, under root 2 gm upon r, or you can write it under root 2 gr. Remember that this can be written for any planet. If we are using Earth, then we will take the mass of Earth and radius of Earth. And this value is 11.2 kilometer per second from the surface of Earth. Remember that escape speed doesn't depend on the mass of object. Okay, it will not depend on the mass of object. Second thing, it doesn't depend on any angle of projection. Whatever angle of projection is there, the escape speed is going to be same. It will not vary. I hope these points are clear to everyone. Negative of kinetic energy equals to positive of total energy. Okay, this relation is again very important for the MCQ purpose.